Well, what's up, everybody? My name is Eva Marie Everson, and I have been talking with my good friend, Jenkins Herlong. We make up the Mommas, Southern Mommas, be like, but we've been talking about health over the last few weeks, and we're going to continue to do that once I get Jane back into the room. Come on in, Jane. Come in.
I am here.
Yeah, there she is.
I was fixing my outfit because I noticed my brand new undergarment has been shown. So I am going to button it up.
Well, I hadn't noticed that.
I got on my cameo. Oh, good. I'm glad. Because I thought, man, I got to edit this. Well, something that is very near to our hearts is our hearts.
Yes.
So I know as a nurse, you've got a lot to share with this.
Just as a person in
As
general. Yes, as a person in general, and how important the heart is. And I'm not talking about getting your heart broken. I'm talking about making sure your heart works and it works well. You want to hear something incredible? My husband, what year was that? 2005. So now we're talking 20 years ago. My husband had 6 heart stents put in his heart. And he has the most amazing heart. I mean, the doctors are just so impressed. But one of the things that he did was he continued to stay active as long as, he did. And of course, what we have to be careful of at our age and in our location is getting too hot. That's very important. Right. But I cannot begin to express how important exercise is for the heart.
Yes.
It is a muscle and it must be exercised. And, I think drinking plenty of good water, exercise, getting good rest, and also what you eat. I talked about it last week, the sludging of the blood. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you're eating some good foods. But here's the other thing that I really, 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 really want to talk about, because I do everything that I can possibly do. But one thing that we know, a woman's signs of a heart attack are different than a man's.
That's exactly what bullet point number 1. Bingo.
Yes, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, my mother all of a sudden had pain underneath her shoulder blade.
Her shoulder blade.
Yes. And she was having an issue at that time.
Yeah.
And a lot of women, David said it's cruel almost. Oh, that's your symptom. Oh, we're taking care of this man right now. He's the one we're focused on. You just stay over there. And
you probably pulled a muscle.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It says chest pain isn't always the first symptom.
Not for women.
Not for women. So it could be the shoulder blade. Where else, Eva Marie?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you do want to pay attention. It's like if you have that radiating pain that tends to feel like it's a muscle pain in your back, in the middle of your back, or on the left side, like you have pulled a muscle that starts radiating down your arm, just like it with a man. But also it can be nausea. Yeah, a sudden nauseating feel. A headache.
Right.
It just won't go away. Like I had a headache this week that simply would not go away, but I knew exactly what mine was. It was stress.
Yeah.
But these are the things, like if you feel like, okay, I can't get my breath in. I have this, it's like a dull pain, but it can be a sharp pain. A lot of people think that it's like, like you're going to like what you see in the movies. And that's not the way it is. Sometimes quite often it's just a dull pain that won't go away, and you think it's your back. So you're like trying to crack your back and stretch your back, and you put a little heat on it and that kind of thing. It's just not going away. Chances are it's your heart.
Yeah. Wow. My mother smoked because back then it was glamorous.
Yes.
And then the Surgeon General,
the thing to do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. To be thin. That's the thing. Yeah. And Mama was caught up in that, and she had COPD, and she did quit. But here's the thing.
The damage was there.
I came back to visit her later in life, and she had to have open heart surgery. And I remember my aunt came in to see her, and she was going, and she knew it. And one of the very last things she said to her is, "Don't ever smoke. Don't ever smoke." because
Yeah.
that's a heart lung connection, and it really
Yeah.
can mess up. I see people smoke today, and I just want to go up to them and say, seriously?
So weird too. I mean, we don't see it as often, but when you go into other countries,
Oh boy,
you will
Europe.
see it. The Middle East and Europe, my gracious alive, have you people not gotten the memo? It's
No
like, what in
kidding.
the world? That's
Wow.
something okay, so let me just applaud the US on that. We made a conscious effort to get the news out, to get the word out, any kind of smoking that you do, whether it's, you know,
Vaping.
ciggy butts, as we
Yeah.
used to call it, if it's that wacky weed, because
Yeah.
goodness knows you're holding that in your lungs, and even vaping, anything that you bring into your body like that is not good for you. It's
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Well,
So,
here's the weird thing. I've met some interesting people in the past week, and one guy is from South Korea, and he sent me some information on folks that having issues maybe with long COVID. Now, this is very different, but they claim, and if you read up on this and get a good like PubMed or something like that, and I'm not even sure it's on PubMed, but that nicotine patches can draw a lot of junk out of your body. That
mhm.
have you heard about that?
I've heard about that, and there may be something to it. I know at one time there were people who talked about there were patches that you could put on the bottom of your feet because
Yes.
all your nerve endings go down to your feet, that you could
Right.
pull gunk out of your feet. I don't know how real it was,
Yeah.
but I do remember reading about things like that. And so, anytime you can purge your body of the gunk that's in you,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, be aware of anything. I mean, listen, I was in New York City on 9/11, and we were there for the remainder of the week because you couldn't get out, obviously.
Right.
Eventually, we took the train up to Albany, New York, and flew out of Albany, New York, because we were beginning to think we were going to have to get some, like an apartment in New York City or something. We're never getting out of here. But did not realize at the time everything we were breathing in.
Oh, yeah.
And so for like 2 weeks afterward, I had a horrific cough that just went all the way down into, the bronchial. I mean, just
Right.
it was just awful, the stuff that was coming out of my lungs. And I thought, well, that's because of all this stuff I was breathing in. Um, my husband and I were talking last night about, as children, when the mosquito man came by, and
Yeah.
you'd run behind the mosquito man like a riding your bicycle by. We were ingesting all of this stuff into our lungs, and
Wow.
so, God willing, we didn't do any serious permanent damage, but these are, if you grew up in agricultural areas, the DET, I mean, all of that was
Oh,
being
yeah.
sprayed. And so we were taking in all this stuff, and
Yep.
which means that this generation that you and I are a part of, we have to be really careful about making sure that we don't add to that. So
Right.
many of us grew up in that era of smoking, or in that area of tobacco. I grew up around tobacco barns. Everywhere I looked, there was a tobacco barn. There were tobacco fields. My parents both grew up working the tobacco fields and that kind of thing. So, tobacco was just a real common thing. That
Secondhand
doesn't mean it
smoke.
was a good thing.
Yeah. Isn't that something? You see all these brave folks, these first responders at 9/11, and a
Yeah.
lot of them have passed away
Yeah.
from lung issues because God only knows. Thank goodness you got out of there when you did, seriously. But my gosh, God help those
Yeah.
people that had to live in that and breathe
Right.
in that.
The
That was
things that you weren't even aware of. You weren't even
right.
aware that it was infiltrating the air the
Yeah.
way it did. And I just got through watching the documentary on the Oklahoma City bombing, and again, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
At some point, somebody was smart enough to put on the gas mask. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, just around here is so odd because of Helene. I mentioned that before, but
yeah,
you've got so many uprooted trees, and sometimes you'll go through Augusta, certain areas. I can't remember the place that was hit so hard. Is it Hammond's Ferry? Maybe not Hammond's Ferry. But anyway, there are so many uprooted trees, and my ENT friend has told me that the people are coming in with the most weird respiratory problems
can
from the
imagine.
spores of the uprooted trees. We're not used to that. And when you see like a documentary like Fantastic Fungi, it's like the roots talk to each other in
Right.
the underground. But my mother, back to heart, my mother had a defibrillator put in. It was a miracle thing. But I just remember seeing that lump right over her heart, and it would pace, it would kick, and it kicked
Yeah.
several times, and
Yeah.
it helped her have longer life. But I remember she was just crying because it hurt when they put that big. It's like
Yeah.
a pocket watch, and you can
Right.
see it.
Exactly. Don't
And
go near the microwave.
yeah, oh no, and I mean it was several things, but I mean it did lengthen her life. But I just remember how sad she was that she had done that, not knowing of the tobacco debacle, how it would affect your heart and it would be a plaque, build up plaque in your system. How much we know now, my
How
goodness.
did we? Yeah. You
How
wonder
did we
like,
do
how did
that?
we not know?
But
But
my daddy dropped dead from a heart attack. And I could see. Now I remember the day before I left him, I kissed him, I hugged him. I didn't know he was that sick, but I'll never forget this, Neva McGree. He was walking down the back hall, and I remember looking at him going, he is gray. His coloring, no kidding, was gray.
yeah.
And the next
Yeah.
day, that he was 12 hours within dying. And he just, and it was so sad to me,
Watch
but it was
for,
a
yeah.
lot of
Yeah. You
stress.
gotta watch for these things. Yeah.
That's true.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anytime you see something in someone that seems unusual, like, they look gray or they look yellow, they look jaundiced.
Oh, that would be liver. Yeah, for sure.
They don't answer. Like with my husband had a TIA several years back, not several years back, but 3 4 years back. And it was the way, how everybody has their morning routine. They get up, they
Yeah.
make coffee, they go sit out on the porch. That's what my husband does. Goes and sits out on the porch with the cat. And he was like not following his usual routine. And when I would ask him a question, he would answer me very oddly. And I jumped up and I said, let me see your eyes. I was looking at his eyes. I was looking at his mouth. I took his blood pressure. It was off the charts. I asked him specific questions. He couldn't answer me. I was
Oh
like,
boy.
911, baby. So we got him to a hospital as quickly as we could. Watch for anything that just doesn't look normal.
It's like a smile. I can't remember. Do you remember the formula?
Yeah, the mouth will drop a little bit. Yeah,
Droop,
you get them to smile and they can't.
and
It's
they
like
can't smile. There are a couple of other things that indicate a stroke, but
yeah, yeah.
I'll
I
have
mean,
to look that up and put it here.
back years ago, I was in a bank and was talking to a woman who worked in the bank, and she went to smile at me, and I knew this woman, and she smiled crooked, and I said, I'm thinking, I wonder if she just had dental work done. That was my thought.
Yeah, yeah.
And before I left the bank, she had a stroke.
Well, did you see the news footage recently of the guy that was the sportscasters, two of them, and the guy's just talking away, and the other guy just spoke, and he looked at him, and he was convulsing and just went completely blank on camera.
Right?
Scared
No,
me
didn't see
back.
that.
Oh, it's
Yeah, you
scary.
you look for anything that you just go, that just doesn't seem normal. That just doesn't. This is not. We are. You don't have to be a certain age. We are at a certain
No,
age where we start noticing things more, but you don't have to be a certain age. If there's
right.
anything that makes you go, then say something. Better to say something and be wrong than not to say something and you were right.
Well, to close this part out and all the health issues, our
Yeah,
mom,
we've done some little rabbit trails here, but yeah,
yeah, but our mamas, Eva Marie, would be so proud of us
I think so.
if they knew that we were helping other women be
Yes.
healthy. And with all of your responsibilities, I'm going to put your URL here so people can follow you on all your social media platforms and look at your website. And I got to ask. I meant to ask you this: how many books do you have that? And can you share this? Even the Salo Awards. How many entries? And you have to have people read.
Right at 700 entries this year.
Hush your mouth. You had 700 books in your house.
Yep. And we actually, last year, the Salos were so popular that this year we rented a storage unit. And so, but they would all come to my house, and then myself and my two assistants would meet at Suzanne's house because she has more of a wide open space than I do.
Yeah.
And then afterward, we would take, because you have to send in 2 books, so that's 1,400, because we have 2 judges if you make it to second round. And so we would then take the second books to the storage unit, and then second round books went out, and we just about have all the scores in. That's a big part of it, is getting those scores in and tallied up. And right now, so exciting, for anybody who entered, we have about 5 books in the fiction category that are finaling for Fiction Book of the Year. And so we have one judge reading those 5 books.
Oh
And
my! How many categories? I forgot, because I know my book did
fiction,
win. And I think Rhinestones on My Flip Flops got a Sailor, or it was a runner up.
I think so. Yeah, I don't know how many categories we have. A lot. I'll just say that, a lot.
Now I
A
will
lot of
say,
categories.
you have had some incredible winners, some A-listers, and their talent is just has a no way to break out of where they are and where they want to be. And
Mhm.
the Blue Ridge Christian Writers Comp is my first writers comp, where I met you and your
Right. Yeah, and you met my mama.
and that was a game changer for me, because I was so thrilled to be able to, to honor my mother in this book, Bury Me With My Pearls, that I wrote in her memory. And that was just a conduit I did not know I had. So thank you so much for what you do for all of us
Oh,
who
you're
want to
welcome.
write. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing. And I'll put some more information about that. Like, you need another entry. I know entries are closed, but
Oh, yeah. Entries are definitely closed.
so do you have to attend the writers conference in order to submit a book, or yes
No.
or no? You don't.
Say this. In the Foundation Awards, which is for unpublished authors, or authors who hope to be, or writers who hope to be authors, that is for the conferees.
Yeah,
And so we are zeroing in on those right now. I just about have all the winners for that, because I have to send out all their work out to the judges, and theirs is all in Word documents. They haven't actually published anything yet.
I
So,
see. I think Penny Hunt, my friend, our good friend Penny, who said knee replacement. Everybody pray for her. She's doing okay.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, Eve
She's
Marie,
so
thank
excited
you,
you're
honey.
coming to the Florida conference this year.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
texted me about that. I'll put that up there too. Thank you, honey. This has been interesting, because
Yeah.
we all need to be realistic about our diet, our vitamins, our exercise. It's not easy, but you couldn't be cooking with Crisco, no play on words, of course, and me either. Had we could not function, our brains, our heart, our
Yeah.
energy levels. And
Yeah.
I'm thankful that we have this information. Thankful to you. Mwah.
Well, thankful to you as well. You brought David in, so thank you.
Oh, yeah, he's a good guy.
And thank you
Okay.
everyone for listening over these last 8 weeks.
Yes, it's been good.